Nobody is holding you back from your manifestation. Nobody is keeping your desires from you. Nobody is purposely making you live in a reality where you don't have what you want. Nobody is doing that. Just you. You are the only person to blame. If you don't have what you want, if you don't see what you like, you're the only person to blame. And I don't say that for you to go sit and beat yourself up and blame yourself down. No. Now that you're here, before we start the video, if you haven't done so already, I would like to invite you to come and join the free Discord community that I created, and to also grab your free copy of the Manifest My Dream Life ebook. The link for both of those will be in the description below. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into the video. Okay, so for today's Monday motivation, while I was meditating, the word that came to me was focus. So if you feel like you are somebody whose focus is not on your desired reality, or you feel like your focus is all over the place, or you just aren't aware of what your focus is on, this video is going to be for you, okay? My motivation in this video is to realign your focus for the next 7 days so that you can experience your manifestations and experience the reality that you desire. So I believe that when you don't know where your focus is going, all you have to do is go look on your phone. All you have to do is pull up your screen time. If you have an iPhone, then in your settings, you have the option to click on screen time, and it's going to show you what you do on your phone all day long. If you have an Android, I'm sorry, I'm not really familiar with it, but I would assume that y'all have the same option, some kind of way to figure out what you're doing on your phone all day. Because let's just be honest, majority of us sit with our phone in our hand all day long. Either we are glued to the TV or we are glued to our phone. Other than that, we're probably working, resting, or doing daily activities and chores, right? So if you're somebody who is complaining that you don't have your manifestation, it's not moving fast enough, you're not getting what you want fast enough, first of all, you're just assuming that reality because you're deciding it's not working for me, it's not moving fast enough. Life is full of decisions. In this game of life, like, it's full of decisions. Like, you have the option to decide on so many things. It is just up to you to decide. Like, that's what you're doing all day long. So if you continually tell yourself something repeatedly, consistently, over and over again, then you're just repeatedly deciding manifestation doesn't work for you, or it's taking too long, you still don't have your desire. All of those things imply that you don't have, and therefore your reality has to match that. Your reality has to show you that you don't have whatever this thing is that you are manifesting or trying to manifest. So what I want you to do, if you feel like you are a person whose focus is all over the place, or you feel like you are legit glued to your phone, because I'm calling myself out right now, because I'm guilty of that too. And I'm about to show y'all, like, if you pull up your screen time on your phone, I'm going to show y'all what mine is. So I opened up my screen time for last week. Since today is Monday, I want to see what my screen time was last week. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I'm a little bit embarrassed. First of all, the fact that it's 17% down from last week, that means the previous week before that, I was really on my phone. But in total, I spent 8 hours and 43 minutes on my phone, on average per day. Per day. That is literally like somebody's work shift. 8 hours, almost 9. If we look at the bottom, social media, 33 hours and 39 minutes. Now, I will say that some of this is included in me listening to subliminals on YouTube, but still, entertainment, 10 hours and 42 minutes, creativity, 7 hours. And this is, so my total screen time for the week, my total screen time, and I'm just now seeing this. I don't think I've ever seen this part, but my total screen time was 61 hours for the week. That is insane. That is insane. So clearly and you see I have limits turned on for Threads, Instagram, TikTok. And I'm going to be honest, I have those limits turned on and I never follow them. Like, I always just ignore the limit and continue on my phone with whatever I'm doing. So if you look just at the top part, at the bottom of the most used apps, I spent 16 hours on TikTok. 16 hours. I'm posting content, but the fact that I spend 16 hours on TikTok means I'm just looking at videos and stuff. YouTube was 10 hours and 33 minutes, which granted, I have been watching like some entertainment videos on YouTube, but I feel like majority of my YouTube is me listening to subliminals, because I'll play them like while I'm working, while I'm like walking around the house, while I'm going to sleep and all of that stuff. And you can't really see it, but messages, I believe I spent like 9 hours and 40 minutes on messages, like just text messaging people. So that's what my screen time looks like. So obviously, my focus can absolutely be improved. Like, my focus can be improved so much because, first of all, I'm not one who's complaining about not having my manifestations, because for one, I know that I don't spend the time that I need to on certain things because I just make excuses or I get caught up on my phone. But allow me to show you that where you put your focus, like, that's your power. Your power is your focus. That is your superpower. That is what is creating whatever you're focused on, whatever you are continually focused on, whatever you are repeatedly focused on. That is what you are creating in your life, in your reality, for yourself to experience. So again, if you can be self-aware, if you can hold yourself accountable, and you can say, you know what, I'm just like you, Tierica. Like, I spend so much time on my phone. I don't like my hours of screen time, and I know that I can spend that time focusing on actually living in my desired reality. Because just from my own personal opinion, that's the only thing that you're lacking if you don't have your desire, if you don't have it physically. To me, you're just lacking the focus of actually having that thing. I'm not saying you have to focus all day long. I'm not saying you have to focus at certain times of the day, but looking at my screen time, I spend 61 hours doing anything other than affirming. That time could really be cut into like a fourth, and I could really be focusing on my affirmations a lot more. So I know for myself the pattern that sometimes I will get into. And this is just more so for the things that I've labeled as just bigger manifestations, you know. I realize that I can get in a pattern. Like, I have a lot of stuff going on during the beginning of my week, and then towards the end of my week I'm working on actual physical clients, doing lashes and stuff. And by the time I'm done with all that, I just feel like I experience mental burnout, and I allow myself to fall into that space because it's a habit. It's something that I repeatedly keep doing, and I'll just go sit on the couch and start scrolling on my phone because I want to do something that doesn't require my mental capacity. It's just something that I can do and I don't really have to think about. But at the same time, that is, for me, that is just a space of being comfortable. That is just a habit that I've gotten used to doing. Whereas becoming self-aware and saying, dang, like, because I'm gonna be honest, this was my first time looking at my screen time in a long time. But whenever I was meditating over the weekend and focus came to me, I'm like, ooh, I wonder what my screen time has been. I need to look at that. Because the thing is, you won't realize how much time you're really spending on your phone, how much time you are scrolling on social media, how much time you are spending watching hours and hours of videos on YouTube. And honestly, y'all, like, that is just you being focused on something other than having what you want. I'm not saying you have to focus on your desire all day long. You don't, unless it resonates with you and you feel like that's what you need to do. No, you don't have to affirm all day long and focus all day long. No, but just be mindful of how you're using your time. Be mindful, because if you are scrolling on social media, right? And let's just say you are manifesting money and you're scrolling on social media and you're seeing all these people like living a luxury lifestyle and they're traveling and they're, just living a good life, and you're looking at this stuff, but then you're implying to yourself, and the things that you're saying to yourself in those moments is, I wish that could be me. Oh, I want to do that. Oh, that's not fair. I wish my life looked like that. Like, if you're talking to yourself in that way while you are looking at these visuals, then you're contradicting yourself. And that's why I feel like mindfulness is very, very, very important whenever you are consciously manifesting, because you really do need to be mindful of the things that you're doing, the things that you're thinking, the things that you're speaking. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying you have to like micromanage yourself all day long and try to be aware of every single little detail that you do to the point where you drive yourself crazy. No, but just kind of learn to be aware, because if you're doing things like that in those moments, then what you're doing is you're implying that you don't have the money, you don't have that type of lifestyle, and you're not able to do those things. And instead, you could be looking at, these visuals on TikTok or Pinterest or whatever app you're spending all of your time on. And when you see things that are aligned with things that you desire, use that as an opportunity to claim it as yours. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I can't wait to go on this trip, or oh, I'm so excited that I'm booking this trip soon. Things like that. And I intend that makes sense, but be mindful of what you're doing. Be aware of where you're putting your focus, because your focus is literally what is making everything be real for you. It's making everything exist in your reality. So if you're not where you want to be, it's not because manifestation is not working. It is literally just because you're not focused on having your desire. And I absolutely believe that. Manifestation is always working. It's never not working. You can't make it not work. I mean, the only way that you can make it not work is by you continuing to imply to yourself that manifestation doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. It's not working. I can only manifest the small things, but I can't manifest the big things. Like, that is what you are implying. That is what you are focused on. That is what you are deciding on. So therefore, that is what is true for you. So that's what I really want you all to work on for the next 7 days. If this message resonates with you, then for the next 7 days, I really want you to be aware of where you're putting your focus. Are you spending too much time scrolling on your phone? Are you spending too much time watching TV? Are you spending too much time going out, hanging out? Like, there's nothing wrong with doing any of those things. I believe you have to have a balance. Like, you have to do things you enjoy, and also make space and time for you to just be in your imagination and think about your desired reality. Think about having your desires right now. There is literally nothing wrong with doing that. It's just an activity. Whether you're meditating, visualizing, scripting, affirming, focused affirming, robotic affirming, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's an activity that is putting you in the state of being of having your desire. But of course, when you come from thought is the one thing you can't get away from, because even if you're scripting, even if you're visualizing, it's still in the form of a thought. You're still thinking. So you need to be aware of your thoughts. Be focused on only the thoughts that align with your desire. So again, if this message resonates, I want you to work on some things for the next 7 days. I want you to be able to track your focus. I really want you to pay attention to your patterns, what you're used to doing all the time, and maybe making some slight adjustments. So using me as an example, instead of me just going and sitting on the couch and mindlessly scrolling online, I can instead turn on a subliminal, go lay down, go meditate, visualize, affirm, because I do enjoy doing that. But I know that I don't make the time that I need to do those things sometimes. Like, there are times where I'm like, oh yes, I can't wait to meditate. And then there's other times where I'm like, I'm just so drained. I'm just going to go sit on the couch and scroll, and I've been on this one girl's TikTok because she's talking about conspiracy theories, and I just love it because that's like my form of entertainment, and I'll go down the rabbit hole, but it's been consuming a lot of my time because I just want to sit there and look at that stuff. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with it, but could I break the time in half? Because overindulging is a thing. I also want you to cut the distractions for this week. All right. Figure out ways to cut your distractions. Just reduce them in some form or fashion. Like, for me, I want to cut mine in half. Next week, my total distractions on my phone, that time needs to be cut in half. 61 hours is insane. Almost 9 hours a day is insane. I need that stuff cut in half. Excluding me listening to subliminals and stuff, I need that stuff cut in half. So even for myself, that's how I'm going to cut distractions. I'm going to be more mindful about taking the time to just go and affirm instead of scrolling and doing things that really don't benefit me in a way. They're just entertaining, but I need more beneficial things right now. And then the last thing that I want you to focus on for this week is to just affirm. Whenever you notice that you have spare moments, whenever you notice that maybe you're standing in line at the grocery store, or you're sitting in traffic, or you're walking to the mailbox, you're getting in the shower, you're on your way to bed. If you have not used those times before to focus on having your desire, for the next 7 days, I want you to try that. I want you to try and use spare moments throughout your day to focus on having what it is that you want. Now, me personally, I feel like I am good at that. When I'm driving in the car, when I'm taking a shower, I'm pretty good at being focused. But I will say, like for myself, I can be sporadic. My thoughts will go all over the place, and sometimes I do need a little bit more assistance in just being focused on one thing, repeatedly. So that's where I'll set like a 10-minute timer and hold myself accountable. Like, you know what? I'm going to focus for 10 minutes on this thing. I'm going to focus for 10 minutes, and I feel like sometimes when you come into conscious manifestation and you realize that you are the one who has created your reality this entire time, and you have free range to experience any and everything, like there are no limitations, nothing is off limits to you. I feel like sometimes that can be overwhelming. And if it's overwhelming for you, I completely understand, because sometimes you just want a totally new life. Like you just want a completely new life. And if that's the case, you have to start parenting yourself to focus on something. You have to focus on already having a better life, or focus on going to have a better life. Focus on things that feel good to you. Focus on things that make you feel better, and really find ways to stop focusing on the things that you don't want, because the more you give it your attention, that is how it continues to live and thrive. It is thriving off your attention. Any circumstance, anything that you do not like, it is literally just thriving off of you and your own assumptions, your own awareness. That's it. So no matter what it is, no matter what you want to experience, whether it's one thing that you're wanting to manifest or 10, 20 things that you want to manifest, it's all about your focus. It's all about your awareness. It's what you are paying attention to. What are you putting your mind spotlight on? You know how you go on a stage and you're performing and they have a spotlight on you? Your mind is the spotlight, all right? And whatever you put that spotlight on, that is what you're going to see in your physical reality. That's just what you're going to see. So for the next 7 days, I definitely want you all, if you have issues with focusing, I definitely want you to be a little bit more mindful this week, okay? Be a little bit more mindful. Be a little bit more aware of what you're doing, and where you could use opportunities to affirm. If you have a busy life, there are days, there are times out of your day where you can still affirm. You just have to be aware of them. You're not aware of them right now because you're used to doing a daily habit. Break whatever those daily habits are that are not beneficial for you. All right. Track your progress. Hold yourself accountable. Affirm in your spare moments. Show up for yourself. Nobody is holding you back from your manifestation. Nobody is keeping your desires from you. Nobody is purposely making you live in a reality where you don't have what you want. Nobody is doing that. Just you. You are the only person to blame. If you don't have what you want, if you don't see what you like, you're the only person to blame. And I don't say that for you to go sit and beat yourself up and blame yourself down. No, just be aware that, okay, now I understand my unconscious thoughts have created all of these experiences for me. But now I hold the power, because now I am conscious to the fact that that's what I've been doing this entire time. So now I can consciously direct my thoughts, direct my imagination in the right way, so that way I can actually experience what I want instead of what I was unconsciously choosing, which is what I don't want. And that should make sense, but that's literally all we're doing here, okay? For myself, because sometimes I like to add an extra layer of accountability for myself. I signed up for my own workshop. Like, I created my consistency workshop, but I signed up for it to hold myself accountable so that I can show up every day. I'm going to go through my own workshop for the next 30 days, just so I can hold myself accountable, so I can do the daily journal prompts, so I can have something that holds me accountable possible to make me start a new routine for myself, because I've gotten so used to doing other habits that really just aren't beneficial for me. They don't harm me, but they're just not beneficial for me, you know? So if you're somebody who feels like you need an extra layer of accountability, you need help being able to focus, direct your focus, being consistent, being disciplined, I feel like with manifestation, there's only three things that you need. And it's not a water method. It's not a quantum jumping method. It's not a scripting technique. It's none of that. The only three things that you need to manifest is consistency, discipline, and mindfulness. Like, those are the only three you need. And I can make another video explaining that. But if you can master those three, I really believe you master your reality, because those are just traits that you're lacking in right now. And you're not lacking in them in the sense of you can't do them, because you do them effortlessly every day. You're consistent in something that you don't want. You're disciplined enough to keep being consistent in something that you don't want. And you're mindful enough to keep consistent in something that you don't want. So you don't have an issue with doing those things. You just need to learn how to do those things in a way that benefits you. Consistently think about your affirmations. Consistently think about having your desires. Consistently tell yourself that your reality looks the way that you want it to now. Discipline yourself to do that every single day, no matter what. And be mindful when you're about to think as the old version of you and limit yourself. Be mindful enough to pull yourself out of that and get back on your consistency train. If you can do those three, then you can literally experience anything that you desire. And it only makes it easier for you the more you do it. So that's basically what my consistency workshop is centered around. That is how I formulated it. That's how I built it. So that way, anybody who is lacking those can successfully build those muscles, that strength, and experience your desires. So like I said, I'm going to go through my consistency workshop for the next 30 days. You are more than welcome to join the consistency workshop with me. I have a Discord connected to the consistency workshop. So anybody that's taking it can, engage with each other. I randomly post like journal prompts, daily affirmations, reflection questions, or just check-ins, because sometimes it's okay to have that accountability. Sometimes you do need that accountability because there's somebody else somewhere that you don't want to let down. Sometimes we don't care about letting ourselves down, but there's another person that you don't want to let down. So the link is in the description below if you need that, if you're interested in anything like that. Okay, so Tina is calling on the manifestation hotline. Let's go ahead and answer this call and see what Tina's question is. Okay, so Tina said, I want to manifest everything I want in my life. Love, money, cars, success, most of all, an easy life for me and my 2 kids. I am loved, I am chosen, I am successful, I am rich is my affirmation. Sometimes I affirm my life is perfect, my life is easy, but whenever I affirm so many intrusive thoughts, what do I do? So first of all, I love your affirmations, and I think your affirmations are perfect for what it is that you desire, because the thing is, we can complain so much about my life sucks, things don't never go my way, and you're not specifically affirming for things, but you keep experiencing things in your reality that prove your life sucks, things don't go your way. So you might go to apply for a car and you get denied, or you might try to go get a new house and somebody else buys it before you can even finish the application process. That is not specific desires that you are affirming for, but because you believe that your life is horrible or things don't ever go your way, you have to experience circumstances in your reality that prove that to be true. So because you are affirming things like your life is perfect, your life is easy, you have to experience circumstances in your reality that prove that to be true. Now, I do love that you're using umbrella affirmations, because that literally states it's an umbrella affirmation. So it's covering so much more than just specific things. So you assume that state of being. You assume the state of being that everything in my life is perfect. You assume the state of being that my life is so easy. So then when you go to do specific things, or when you go to affirm for specific things, they happen so easily for you because that's the state of being that you hold. Now, as far as the intrusive thoughts, because that's what your question was about, I will say that when you are triggered by your reality, you are triggered by things that are going on, then intrusive thoughts will come in. And I just feel like intrusive thoughts are just thoughts that are still trying to survive, because that was the state of being that you were once in. And now those thoughts are basically aware that you are changing the state of being, or you have changed the state of being that you are in, and those thoughts can't survive no more. So let's just say somebody is completely depressed and they have so many depressing thoughts, and then they decide, you know what, I don't identify as a person who is depressed anymore. I am completely happy and stress free. So now when they go to start affirming that they are completely happy and stress free, so that they assume that state of being and experience that reality, intrusive thoughts might come in like, no, you're still depressed. Look at you laying on the couch. Look at you doing this, look at you not succeeding. And that is just intrusive thoughts, are just those thoughts from that previous version of you, that previous reality, trying to pull you back in, trying to reel you back in. It's like a trick. It's an illusion. It's trying to get you to fall for it so that you will give it your attention, your focus, your energy. And because you do that, then it has to be able to exist. It has to be able to thrive, and it can still remain your reality. So when I have dealt with intrusive thoughts around anything, because I just had an experience with a family member, and my thoughts were extremely intrusive. They were horrible. Like, they were horrible. Horrible thoughts, horrible visualizations. I felt horrible. It was the worst. But what I can say is what I did for me, and you can try this for you as well, but what I did for me is I recorded my affirmation and I put it in my ear and I listened to it in an earphone all day long, nonstop. I didn't care if people were talking to me. I didn't care what I was doing. I had the affirmation playing nonstop. When I was on my way to sleep, then I would put headphones on. I would listen to that affirmation and I would be affirming as I was falling asleep. No matter what intrusive thought came in, I would just tell myself, that's not my truth. That's not my reality. And then I would go back to affirming my one affirmation, because it just made it so easy for me to focus on this one thing. I've also done this from being in a really severe depressing state. All I did was robotically affirm and keep affirming over and over. And the thoughts, the visualizations, I just talk to them and tell them, no, that's not my truth. That is not my reality. You don't exist. Go away. Like, that's it. So I feel like for everybody deals with their intrusive thoughts in different ways. If anybody has like a way that they deal with their intrusive thoughts, please put it in the comments, because it will help another person. But for me, I will say robotic affirming helps, because you are saying the affirmation a lot more faster. And especially if you're saying it out loud, like if you're in a space where you can affirm out loud, when you're talking, you cannot focus on thinking something different, because you're focused on what you're talking about. So say your affirmations, go on a rampage if you need to and tell yourself what your life looks like, what is possible for you. You know what I mean? It gets you out of that state of being of victim mentality and feeling hopeless for yourself, feeling sorry for yourself, because that none of that is true. Like, you are the most amazing creator ever. You can have the most amazing life ever. You just have to decide on it. Another way that you can deal with intrusive thoughts is having visualizations to override them. If you have intrusive thoughts about something specific, come up with a visualization of a scene of you having your desire and just visualize it over and over and over again, or hear something being told to you over and over and over again. But the thing is, for me, the key that I found is to figure out how to override the intrusive thoughts or the intrusive visualizations, because if you feed into them, then you let them win. You don't want to let the intrusive thoughts win. Do not feed into them. Don't give them your attention. I had made this example with, I think, a coaching client or something one time, but because I used to want to be a health coach, I learned about all this stuff, and it's like, there's bacteria that lives in the body, and especially if you're somebody who's consuming sugar all the time, right? There's bacteria in your body that feeds off of that sugar. Again, these are all just assumptions, because that's why I don't want to be a health coach no more. These are assumptions, but still, it makes sense. So whenever you go on a fast and you're like, I'm not going to eat sugar for the next 30 days, those first few days are probably difficult as hell. Why? Because there is the bacteria in your body fiending for that sugar. It is wanting you to feed it that sugar. So now you have the cravings for the sugar. So then you either fall for the trap, you either fall for it, and then you feed the bacteria and it can still live and thrive, or you ignore it, you don't feed it what it wants, you continue to focus on being without it, and now it dies off because it can't survive without you feeding into it. That's literally how your intrusive thoughts are. Your intrusive thoughts are coming from a previous state of being. And for you to no longer experience that state of being, you just have to put your focus elsewhere. You have to focus on your desired reality and your desired reality only. And you have to find ways that keep you grounded in that. Whatever it is, rampaging, robotic affirming, visualization, meditation, EFT tapping, anything that relieves stress, regulates your stress. Figure it out. Find what works best for you, but you're going to know. But the one thing that you don't want to do is to focus on anything that is not beneficial for you. Those intrusive thoughts are not you. They do not have to be your truth. All right. That is just a previous version of you still trying to exist. And you're no longer that version of you. So you cut ties with it. Cut ties with it however you need to. But just know, as long as you persist, your life is so perfect. You are rich. You are loved. You are so successful. That is what your reality is going to reflect. Your only job is to stay consistent in that. Stay consistent in that mindset no matter what, okay? So I intend that that answers your questions. If anybody else has a question that they want answered on the manifestation hotline, you are more than welcome to look in the link below, go to my website, and you'll see a little tab that says hotline questions. Submit your hotline questions. You can ask whatever that you would like my response for. If you have any questions or comments for me for anything that I talked about in this video, please leave them below. I will get back to you. If you are interested in getting any type of coaching from me, I have phone, email coaching. I also have group coaching through YouTube and Patreon. The link is in the description below. And other than that, if you watch this video until the end, I appreciate you so much, and I will see y'all in the next video.